Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live Scribbles with Jonathan. You can check out my website and my work at jonathanrector.com. I just want to say really quickly to everybody that might be in the chat on Picarto, I got a friendly message from somebody, one of you lovely people, on my fan page saying that Picarto is kind of, all over the place right now, and the chat might not work. And I did a really quick check, and apparently some DDoS attacks. I not going to get into that too much, but you got to be a scumbag to start trying to take down, for whatever reason, streaming sites. I don't know. Could just be because I'm trying to stream, but I mean, there's been other sites, video game sites and things I like to check out too, and they always get like these attacks, these internet attacks. But it's the internet, it's Wild West. What are you gonna do? It looks like the chat's working. I was able to chat and type in some things. There may be a delay between what's drawing in the chat. But for everybody else that's watching on YouTube, that's okay. You guys are going to get it normal style, we'll call it. And if you'd like to participate, this show is every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I always say, if you can't make it, by all means, please send me a message on wherever you're following me. And just label Scribbles with Jonathan and have a question. And I'll write it down and I'll do my best to address it on the next episode. So I know there's a time zone difference all over the world. You guys believe that? Time zones. It's nuts. So all that's going on. I don't know what we're going to do today. There's two things I want to do right now. One of them will be a little easier for today. Plus I can kind of go over just very briefly a new workflow that I have in case you guys haven't seen the video I just posted. I believe it was this weekend, or maybe it was Monday. And what it was here, I'll actually open it up to show you guys here. Let me just close this up. Actually, I'm going to leave this open. So what I started doing is, for those that, just coming in, learning some stuff and whatever, is I'm trying to beef up the portfolio. And I thought I would do a couple things at once here. One is kind of get back to, I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years ago. I said I was going to start doing a Ninja Turtle pitch. That's changed a bit. I'm still doing 3 pages of a Ninja Turtle pitch that I just, that I can have for my portfolio. I'm trying to change it from being called a pitch, because it's not really a pitch. I'm not trying to necessarily pitch to companies that let me write blah blah blah. It's just let me draw. Please give me a chance to draw, and hopefully you guys like it. I have been getting some pretty good feedback, and hopefully editors at least like what they see to want to continually see updates from me. And this will allow me to do 2 things. One, I'm going to be continuing to work on Castle Dracula. That hasn't changed, and that's actually what I'm thinking of doing today. It's a little bit more character design sort of stuff with pencils and that. And then the other side of it is just when I can add to my portfolio of like something like this, like Ninja Turtles. Let me just zoom in a little bit here so you guys can kind of see what's going on. Yeah, that'll probably be better for the stream. And I'll just sort of like just slowly go across here. So what I find is actually pretty good is to include a couple things. Like, they always say fake it till you make it. If I was a editor or a company looking to possibly hire somebody, I think they want to see you're just doing actual comic book pages, right? But not all of us get the chance to draw the favorite comic books that we want. Like I would love to draw Ninja Turtles. I'd love to draw Marvel comics, DC comics, IDW, Power Rangers, a bunch of stuff. But the problem is, at least right now, I don't have not necessarily the connections, but I might not have the skill to do that. So what I've been doing is over the last week, 2 weeks, I've been trying to find editors through email that I can just, say hello. Check out my stuff if you got time, and if you'd like to keep a conversation going, that'd be great. And what I want to do is have these sort of things, because as I noticed, I posted this on my fan page and on Twitter and things, and a lot of people liked it, and they were sharing it around, and that's very flattering. But what that means to me is this is something that people know about, right? The Ninja Turtles is a property that's been around since the 80s. People know about it. And what it does is, it's sort of like when I was trying to get into concept art, one of the things I wanted to do was come up with a video game that, in my mind, pretend like I was actually in development. And what ended up happening was the project just ran out of funding, and now I'm left with a portfolio. Now what that does is it puts you in a production mindset. So that's what I wanted to do with this, is the 3 pages is, maybe this is treated as a 3-page mini that's in a Ninja Turtle book. I want to try to keep it as if I were to be able to do this, and that's what we're doing right now. So I'll be doing a lot of this stuff. I believe the next one I want to do is a Power Rangers one, because there's a new Power Rangers comic coming out. I think it'd be a blast to do that. Besides doing Marvel and DC stuff, I'd like to have a couple of those in the portfolio as well. And it's just very easy, again, to organically find people, which is great. I will say, I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but it looks like the chat is disconnecting and stuff here on Picarto, which is kind of a bum out, but what can you do? What can you do on the internet, right? So, if you can, or if you're managing to get questions in, by all means, please jam them in the chat. I don't know when and if I'll get them, but if I can, I will answer them the best that I can. So I wanted to talk quickly about the process of what I started to do with this page, because it is different than I think what a lot of you guys are used to seeing. First off, it's pencils. I'm not going to be inking this. I'm not going to be coloring it. It's just pencils. I talked about it in my video briefly. That this is what I would like to ideally be able to do, is always pencil. I'm not a big inker. I ink because I have to with the projects that I get with freelance work or independent comics. A lot of people don't have a lot of money to hire individuals for those tasks, so a lot of people are looking for pencilers that ink as well. Now, digital is awesome because it let me learn how to ink without having to spend a dime besides the tools that I already had. So what I'm thinking of anyway is, if I can do the pencils as best I can, they can, or whoever can, have an inker on board that is very talented, has spent as much time as I have drawing, inking for them, and just make the overall product better, right? And that's the idea. Plus, the pages tend to come out faster, I find, with pencil. Where I learned this from was David Finch. If you go and check out him on YouTube, DC comic artist, he's done Marvel work, done a whole bunch of work. He did something I thought was very interesting, and I decided to try it out, and it actually worked pretty well for me. And I'll just actually go over here. I did this in the sketch drawing here as well during the pre-show. What I would normally do, and I think a lot of you guys would do as well, or I recommend doing this anyway, is, as you can tell, this is on 600 DPI, so it functions better on my computer. It doesn't stress it out as much. I had to go down to 400 DPI because blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I got up to 600 here, and the file sizes were getting ridiculous because when you click New Layer in Manga Studio, depending on, like, here, I'll show you here. If I go File, New, you can set up templates, right? Like, you can see I've already got my stuff in here. And this is what you're looking for, basic expression colors. So whenever you click New Layer, this is the default that'll come up. Most of us, it's probably, I think it defaults at color. I would recommend going to gray. It'll dramatically reduce the size of your files. If you do monochrome, which is just black and white, it'll dramatically decrease it even more. Okay? So what I've been doing lately is, this is how I would do my pencils, right? Like, we've all seen digital pencils, and especially if you got Manga Studio, you know how awesome they are. That's great, right? And you get a little bit of a range. You can build up and press heavy and things like this. What I started to do after I saw the video was just actually doing the exact same thing, but just on a monochrome layer. Now, what it does is, I can't get, like, here, I'll show you. The range is different. Let me draw right beside it. Right? It's different. But the way I started to notice it is, whenever I would do this back in the day for somebody, when I would pencil for somebody and have to scan it into Photoshop and that, usually I would mess with the levels. And the levels just makes your blacker, your darks blacker, your blacks darker, and your whites lighter. And that's sort of what this is. This is how this feels like it's being treated. And I like the grainy look that it has, personally. This is just a preference thing. And the next thing you do is, I just have like it's the same pencil, just at a bigger size. I just made a little small adjustment on the side so I can just quickly go to it. So what I would do is, let's just say the whole side of this cat's face here is filled in. Like, this would all be shadow, right? And you just put that X and you move on. I have this here, and this is what I would use to just very lightly press on the tablet. and you can see it's much bigger, and it just fills it in. Like this is how I would normally shade in with like the side of your pencil or something like that. And look, like it's quick, but it still has that. It feels like pencil. And then the very last step you could do is, if in case that is too dark for you, you could actually just lower the opacity. It'll make it feel like it's a lighter gray, as if you scanned. And that's really it. That's it. And I'm in love with this stuff. It just feels like a fun workflow, and I'm digging it. And again, especially for the Ninja Turtle stuff, I love the results. I think it looks really good. But like I said, what I would do today is if I was working on this, there's no real rush on this. I want to get this done within 2 weeks, these 3 pages, if I'm able to. I have some convention stuff to get ready, so things might get a little weird. But if we were doing it today, I'd just be working on this background stuff, which might be boring to a lot of people. And some of these shots in here, where they're a little bit more, I need to be a little bit more on the ball with perspective and stuff. I don't find that stuff's fun. However, there aren't a lot of people online doing this sort of stuff, showing you backgrounds and how they do it. And unfortunately, the chat's not really working, so I can't see what the people in the chat would like. But this is basically what I would do. And I wanted to point out as well, I talked about the zooming, about 25%, sometimes a little lower than that. What I'm trying to do is be very conscious of this size here, because I have 11 by 17 Bristol that I take and I just put on top of my Huey on here. And this zoomed in is a little bit bigger than 11 by 17. It's zoomed in a little bit more, but I'm trying never to go past this, simply because your detail that you do, this is the scary part, right? You guys have all done this if you're working digital. Let's zoom in. You might even go into like 50% here, and I can go in here and I can just start worrying about like little details like this. They're kind of cool. They had like a nice little, I don't know what the hell this is, but you can get right in there. And then as I zoom out, like when it gets printed, like a lot of it's gone. So by working like this would be as if I was actually sitting down at the desk and actually drawing. And that's something I'm trying to get. Again, it feels like I'm trying to take a lot of traditional things and put them into the digital workflow. I've spent a lot of time working like this, excuse me, before ever getting into digital. So it feels kind of like, I don't want to say a homecoming, that sounds kind of lame, but it feels comfortable. The amount of tools used are dramatically lessened. So I guess what we'll do, and I apologize to those in the chat that are trying to ask questions if you're disconnecting. I'm not able to see what your questions are. So what we're going to do is, I haven't had a chance to work on any Castle Dracula stuff in a little bit. Again, working on portfolio stuff in the convention coming up. But I want to work on, I came up with the name of the main character. His name is Gildas. Gildas? I always say it wrong. Actually, give me 1 second. This is what I've been doing lately here. Okay. Text to speech. And what I'll do is, it's like this weird computer talking thing, and you can put in characters' names. How everybody spells their names a little different, and then you can hear how the computer would pronounce it. It's probably pretty close. So the female in the book, remember, she's called, her name, I was always calling her Brea. It's Breah.
Bray.
That's how it's pronounced, apparently, the way I spelt it.
Bray.
Bray. So, if I want to change your name a little bit. So, let's see how this sounds. Gildas.
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 So, that's his name, Gildas. I believe it is an old, I don't know, a saint or something like that. I think it's Christian or Catholic saint or something. I forget how I exactly came across looking at that stuff. But anyway, so we're going to have this on gray here. So as I was writing, I have the plots down. And this might not be too interesting for you guys, but this is stuff I need to do anyway. I have the plots down, and I'm already starting the first pass on the first draft, which would basically be page breakdowns with rough dialogue in places. And as I was writing and figuring out the plots and stuff, some things started to make sense. Holes are being filled, and new questions were getting asked of where things could end up going. And one of the things, I guess I could share it with you guys, is he's part of an order of demon hunters. Here, we'll write his name down. Let's see if we can get a cool. Inks. Whoops. Trying to get fancy with it here. There we go. So he's part of an order of demon hunters, and for whatever reason, you guys will have to find out, he's been marked a traitor. Oh, a bad guy. And it worked in the story that I was able to do that. Now, the problem is I wrote that in this world, the traitors, something's done to them so that other people know that they're a traitor. Not to be trusted, or things like that. So I'm going to have to come up with something that I can do to his... I'm mostly thinking his face, because that's the one thing everybody always gets branded with, right? Like, you can't escape your face. You can hide it, kind of, but not really, right? There's certain things you can wear. But he's still got his honor. He's still the demon hunter. He's still in the mindset of the order. It wasn't really up to him to get kicked out. He got kicked out because what he thought was the greater good, even though the order that he swore allegiance to said otherwise. And that's sort of like where our story kicks off with him returning home. I'm still keeping all this going on, and I'm trying to think too of the style that I want to do for this webcomic. Again, I'm trying to hit a couple birds with the same stone. I always love it. Every time I say that saying now, if you guys haven't watched Trailer Park Boys, watch it. There's a guy named Ricky on there, and he's forever screwed the way that saying goes for me. It's two birds stone at once. That's how I always, my brain always makes it end up going towards there. Is that I could double this as portfolio pages to send editors. Like if they want updates, I can show them that. And I don't want to go too drastic away from the normal stuff that I'm sending them. However, I'm thinking this will most likely be a web comic. It's easy to put out there and go from there. And I'm not sure the style. I don't necessarily want to. It's quicker to work in a I want to call it a web comic style where I can just quickly ink over this stuff. It's not taking as much time as doing like a portfolio piece. But I kind of want to build that up, build that speed up, so that if I ever do get published work through a company or something, that I can hammer out things faster. And I think it'll generally be a good thing. So if I can do a double duty with this stuff as well, I think we'll be okay. So just trying to figure out some of his stuff. He is starting to look a little menacing. I don't mind it. I'm a big fan of the big bulky characters. We will have smaller characters in here for sure. Bray, for example, she's pretty small. All right, now since you guys have seen it, he does have a headband, but I've kind of changed it up. I've kind of because I want to show more of his eyes. I was finding that if I was adding that headband, it was sort of getting in the way. So I'm moving it up. Instead of like it used to be like a forearm or a forearm, a frow headband, like a brow, I should say, not a frow, right at the brow line. Now I'm moving it up just to get it where it should be. And what this does is it opens it up so I can get some cool, like dramatic eye things in here. And I've slicked this hair back instead of having it the way it used to. And I also have, it's like sideburns, but I kind of have like this little motion. It's like two little stringy pieces of hair, and this just gets me. I was doing some side sketches where I'd have like this, like this towering guy on the side here, like just like a profile shot, just a beast. But just by adding, like these little like wisps, it just felt like it gave it a little bit more life to him. and I'm still not sure how much Catholic or Christian crosses we're going to put everywhere. I really don't care, to be honest. But I feel like, again, the inspiration from this that started the project, and it's gone further than where its influences was, which was Castlevania. I would say it's not the only thing that's really tying it together now is the whip, possibly his character design, which I want to kind of adjust a little bit, and Dracula. Other than that, there's not really much that hold it together. So I want to move away from a lot of the tropes that were used in that game. I'm making it so that those decisions, those early decisions, they were meant more of like a stepping stone. You know, they were the ones that kind of got the project started. And I recommend you guys do it too. Totally do it. If you're a big video game fan like I am, pick a video game, like one of your favorite video games, and use it as like the catalyst, the start to like make your version of that into a comic, and then start hearing your own voice and hearing it out and seeing where the story goes, see where it takes you. And inevitably at the end leave it. It's sort of just like a spiritual successor. A lot of video games like to call it. Alright, so he's gonna have his big beefy neck. So Adam's apple. Now, the purpose of this is trying to figure out something I can do to mark him as a traitor. I was thinking like the scar across the side, but I know there's a manga that does this. I forget, Immortal? Is that what it's called? Something that would make them feel like a traitor. What would... Something with the mouth? Scars on the mouth. It makes them look a little... Maybe it's just like a... scars down the side. No. Would you cut a traitor? Yeah, you'd cut a traitor. I'm just trying to think on the fly here. What if he had... I think he's kind of smiling too much here. Traitor. Like the cow kind of thing. I don't mind the cow ring. I know it might feel weird. What if it's chains? It's starting to feel a little like it's breaking out of character here. Hey, Jessup. Maybe we could do... Maybe just like a tattoo, like a stamp or something under their eyes. Maybe something like that. I will use that for now in case we think something else comes along. So I'm just going to lower the opacity. And then again, we're just going to jump into that pencil layer. And we're going to change it to monochrome. In the monochrome too, I heard a lot of people say it feels like they're inking with it, which is true because like if you do ink in Manga Studio, I highly recommend inking in a monochrome layer. I find that especially if it's going to print, it looks way better. I find anyway. And then the other one is that it's just reduces the file size and it just makes it cleaner. Like a lot of the guesswork is taken out because it's just black and white. There's no gray anymore. It's just it is what it is, sort of thing. So if you aren't, I would recommend just trying it out. See what your art looks like on like a sketch or something. So what we might actually do too is try this out. Maybe put some color on it or something. Let's just rotate it, see how it's looking. Okay. Actually, give me 1 second here. I believe this, I can still record. I'm just going to try refreshing, just in case that does kickstart the chat. Could have been me. Could have been my end, too. So we're still recording, still recording. Yeah, nothing. Okay. I've also been getting a few messages from you guys about the Huey on here, since I've had it for a little bit longer. And it's getting close to the time to do the update review on there, so hang in there. It's coming. But the Cliff Notes, it's holding up. It's still working. I'm able to draw very comfortably on it. And once you get used to the size, it's so hard to go back to the other guy. Like I was using the Cintiq, the small one, the 12WX, and fantastic piece of hardware. Did a lot of work on that guy. And then once I was kind of having my doubts with the Huey on, I set it aside, and before I sent it back, I plugged it back in once I formatted my computer again, just to see, and just spending a little bit more time with it when I wasn't really having any projects to do, and yeah, just won me over. It was very hard to go back from this to like a smaller tablet. Just because of the amount of space, and it's so hard. Like I remember, I was talking to a buddy of mine before this, and it was like, yeah, I'm hoping the size is bigger, and we were kind of talking back and forth about how like the Cintiq, how comfortable the small one is, and it is. It's very comfortable if you've never used anything before. I will say it's very comfortable to work in and work with. But the real estate you get with just obviously a bigger monitor is, I don't know. It's so hard to try to find an argument against it. It's kind of like, imagine if you're working on comic books, traditional comic books. Again, 11 by 17 piece of Bristol, and all of a sudden somebody says, okay, now you can only work on 8.5 by 11 paper, and you have to have two of those pieces of paper that you can only look at one at a time in order to draw your pages. It really is that drastic of a jump. Like I say, like how much real estate on here, you might not know it just by looking at the screen that's recording, but just the fact that I can move my hand and draw here, like it's huge. It's such a big deal, and it's cheaper than the Cintiq. So So there's that. All right, so back to this. What I plan on doing too is a little bit of a character sheet, so you guys can see that. I won't be doing that today, but we will definitely get into it. Just because I don't want to get stuck in drawing like his back or something, and it's not. It just something's not. I don't want to be confused while I'm working. I find like especially when I'm doing comic book work, just being able to get all of the production and pre-production out of the way in the beginning, so that once it's time to do pages, you don't have to think that much. You just need to draw the best you can. I find that's where you want to be. That's how you start getting some serious mileage. When you don't got to think about what you have to draw today so much, or I can't count the amount of times I've had to draw a character that I didn't design very well, and my whole day is like just filled with like trying to figure out how I can draw the character in the right angle, blah blah blah. So I think what we'll do here, I'm gonna actually put, because I want to have a lot of shadows in this book. It's pretty appropriate. So put his nose here. I'm just gonna cast a shadow. Shadow on his lip here. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I'm trying to get back into this sort of rendering where it's actually, here, let me zoom in so you can see. It's just a bunch of straight lines, but it makes things like pretty like angular. It's not, there's no curves in this rendering. I do use that kind of rendering, but the pencil's just, I'm telling you, pencil's just way more comfortable to me for this sort of effect. I haven't yet gotten the ability to do this with a pen or an inking tool in Manga Studio. No, I know it's possible. I just haven't practiced or figured out a good way to do it. I guess one of the main things that comes down to it is like with ink, right? Like it's so final. It's so like each line matters for the most part that there's very little room for experimentation. And this is coming from somebody that's, I'm a novice when it comes to inking. Let's get these eyebrows black, makes them look more badass. Get that hair in there. Let's just rotate it. So I'll turn this off here so we can kind of see what we're working with. So right away I want to kind of change the way the body was that I had. I don't want to use what I was using. I don't want him to be so hunched over. So I'm going to use his Adam's apple to kind of curve in between the two muscles here. And this lets the muscle in the background here pop forward like that. And we've got to follow our light source. So his chin's going to cast a cast shadow onto his neck. We'll fill that in a bit. Again, just using overlapping shapes to help accentuate form. Big ol' meaty collarbones. Now this is actually one of the problems. I can't use my kneadable eraser when I'm drawing in monochrome because it's just black and white, even though it doesn't necessarily look like it. That looks a little better. And I'm very excited to do this. I mean, just drawing this character here, there's something about drawing your own stuff. I say it all the time. It's just very, I don't know, there's a different, I find a different, I don't want to say mindset, because you should treat every project you do like it's yours, right? And that is saying, I know a lot of us, especially if we're trying to do illustration or comic book work, it's you need you need a paycheck, right? Like that's one of the major driving forces of what you're doing. You got to feed yourself, but there should be some pride, I would hope, in what you're doing, unless the pay is just absolutely ridiculous and you really don't want to tell anybody what you're working on, but you need the money and the pay is so good that you didn't want to turn it down. But I would. That's very rare, I find, at least with the people I talk to. But there's just something, I don't know, almost calming, I guess. Whoops. Let's go a little smaller with that. Something calming about like just trying your own stuff. And one of the things I love about pencils too is like I can be so sloppy and kind of like I don't want to say guess because I'm not guessing, but there's definitely things here that a trained inker, a professional inker, is going to really make this stuff pop. Like for example, up in here, I kind of just did some dots and then used some eraser. But however the inker goes in there, some inkers they'll just put flat blacks here. Some inkers, right, they'll go like this. Let's just go to inks here. It's G pen. It's been so long. Yeah, some inkers, right, like they'll just go black, or they'll come in here and they'll turn all of these into render marks, just to make it feel a little bit more worn, And that just depends on the inker you get. That's why it's very paramount, especially if you got the choice anyway. Not everybody does. Very rarely do I think you do, but it's pretty important if you can choose your creative team as the penciler. Sometimes you get fortunate to do that, and sometimes you're fortunate enough to know the right people that can really, really make your art look spectacular. Right, so I'm just using this fill pencil, which is so cool. Because I love, when you're working with ink, again, this is all black and white, and then the renderings, it's basically how you show gray. But with pencil, right, you can get gray. So it's a different feeling, a little bit more satisfying, I find. I don't know how you guys feel. And I can't really, let me just keep trying to refresh. Maybe you guys will magically pop into the chat. I was very interested in finding out. Oh, you guys might not even be able to see what's going on. I just tried to refresh and it was like, sorry, Picarto is down. Picarto is down. So sorry about if you guys are in there or if you're waiting. The soul of the show isn't there unless you guys are here. It's just it feels so empty. There's no back and forth. It's not fun. Alright, so I'm just trying to put a shine on Gildas's hair here. So I'm just finding that area that's going to be hit with black. I'm not going to render it. I'm just going to get a separate shine kind of coming up here. And I want to look at some different artists for how they render hair. Especially Joe Madureira, massive fan of his. It's a little bit more cartoony of hairstyle. I like it like that, as opposed to going in there with each strand. Like with inking, I find I can get in and really render out hair, but with pencils, you're limited, which is good for me anyway. So a little more cast shadow now. And then we got to add that marking. I still don't know what we're going to do for that. I know we had like a sign of a trader. If you were a trader. And I'm just noodling now while I think. Actually, we can add a cast shadow of his hair here too. All right. What are we going to do with you here, bud? Maybe... See, so here's the thing with... I'm just going to talk about... Like, I don't know when I do the comic if it's just going to be black and white, if it's just going to be like this, right? Ideally, this is all that I'll be doing for it. I won't be going in and inking and maybe tone work. If I add color, it's going to radically increase the amount of time it's going to take to do this. Plus, you know, with color comes like some pretty big responsibilities. Like I have to have color harmony down to some degree, because color can either help or kill your drawing, right? So you know what I'm going to do? We're going to keep it gray for now. What I'm thinking is for traders... Actually, let me see how this would look. It didn't really start looking demonic once you gray out the eyes, give them the gambit eyes, I call them. But what I'm going to do is traders, their eye color is different. It'll be like maybe a whitish gray or a very, very light blue. Oh God, we're back in the chat. All right, so I can see you guys talking to the chat, but I don't know how delayed this is. So I'm just going to type something now, and you guys can say when you reply to it or when you hear me. Now. Even though the show's almost done. All right, so we're going to have that. Let's go ahead and make a new layer. This one will keep gray. All right, cool. So you guys can hear us. All right. Were you guys able to see the show and hear me at least, or was it all kind of all over the place for you? So that would have sucked if you guys weren't able to see anything. So we're going to pick like actually we're going to go with a lighter gray, because he's going to get pretty dark. And I want my selection here. So what we're doing is... Oops. Is I'm just putting a background piece here. Okay, awesome, great. At least it wasn't a total wash for you guys. That would have sucked. All right, so we're gonna make a little selection around him like this, and what this does is it's just like this gives us a great place. If you've never worked in gray, you guys might get a little something out of this. But we got Princess Tiny Ears. Oh, he's got the smallest ears ever. Smallest ears. Hey, Michael. All right, so with the gray, this gives us a great starting point because now we can go in more of a spectrum of black and white, right? I've got all of this to use to help sell this. So we've already got our gray in there. What I'm going to do, make another layer, and what the hell, we'll try with this lasso tool here to fill. This is just going to separate Gildas from the background. I'm just going to call him Gildas. Just sounds better. Gildas makes me always sound like, you know, like ass is in there, so it makes it sound like it's, I don't know. Sounds lame. But Gildas, I don't know, Gildas kind of, it's grown on me. I had a few names in my head, and I gave it a week or two, and I would just say it every now and then, just think of it. I don't know if you guys get really that knees deep with your characters. You know, this is a fantasy theme, so I didn't want to go with, okay, here's Steve. If your name's Steve, I apologize, but Steve the Demon Hunter, it lacks the punch that I need. This guy doesn't look like a Steve. Not that Steve has a look, but I look at this guy and like Steve is not what I'm thinking of, you know. And Gildas was the only thing that kind of felt right. Again, when I put it into the text-to-speech thing, it was like Gildas. And I'm like, ugh, fuck it, Gildas. Gildas flows better. It just feels good. See you later, bud. What happened to the 3-page mini that I scrapped? Which was that on? So we have that, and I'm just gonna do like a very quick pass too. We're gonna go darker. This would be like the shadow. Let's see how dark that is. That's good. That's fine. We were all gonna work on a 3-page after Worlds in Peril was done. I'm trying to remember what I was gonna do. I think that was gonna be for a instructional video as well. The only reason that changed is because some stuff happened. I get to be very vague with you guys here. Some stuff happened that changed my perspective on what I wanted to do with art, especially with comic books. Basically, what it turned into was I would like to see if there's a chance or a possibility to get client work with bigger publishers, right? And the thing that would be the big deterrent from that is if you guys look on my website and stuff, this whole channel too, like I even end every show with keep reading comics, keep making comics, but I don't have a lot of comics to show on my site, right? And a 3-page mini would be great for that. The only problem is I'm doing 3 pages right now for the Ninja Turtles, but that's a little different than like a 3-page gag strip or something like that. So the only real reason or anything I've got to really say is just that it's is that what was happening at the time, and still is my plans are a little bit more crystal clear what I want to do, and I just don't have enough time to do that right now. And yeah, I mean this one here, just so you guys know, Castle Dracula, the first draft anyway. I really didn't want to do this, but it's almost inevitable. I don't know, it's not inevitable, but I'm okay with it. We'll see how it goes. But it's almost a trilogy at this point, just like everything's always a trilogy. Only because there's more that I wanted to tell with this character besides just a 22-page. Let's have some fun. I'm able to do so much with this story here that I'm excited to do it. So I'm going to just slowly hack away at it. There's no other reason not to. And you guys might like it. You guys might not like it. That's fine. You know, we'll see how we get there. All right, so we got our core shadows in here. Oh, you didn't see my. Okay, here I'll pop this open here. You may have came in a little late. Actually, just let me save this. Thanks, Pillow. Yeah, like I say, it's I will give you guys a. No, I won't. I won't say it. Let's just put it this way. And this is the part that I'm kind of concerned with that might bug people. Is the story's called Castle Dracula, but Dracula makes a so far brief appearance in the first book. We'll leave it at that because I don't want to say too many things. Not because it's a very kick-ass story and it's the greatest thing ever, but I don't want to paint myself into a hole with lying to you guys about what the story's about. All right, let me just quickly what's called the turtle pitch. Basically, you're summing it up right. I need more comic work, not just marketing and selling and stuff. Yep. That's basically what it is. So there's a lot of like lines coming in here for the perspective, but we already started the show with this. I'm very excited that you guys are interested in seeing this. So I'll show you one more time where we're at with it. So yeah, establishing shot. We're gonna have New York City. Lots of work left to go there. Then we're gonna have a little zoom in here on the street. Got some vendors and people talking, going into the sewers. We have a shot of the sewers, and then we've got the big reveal of the turtles fighting underground with a bunch of foot soldiers. Then we get a close up of Leo, and then we're just gonna get into some more combat stuff. And the last page is gonna be real fun. Get nice. It's the shot that everybody does. It's Shredder holding Splinter hostage. Dun dun dun. All right, let's see if this works. Ugh. It's gross. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. I really do. Oh, thanks, Peyton. Thank you. Actually, I will say this too, guys. Like I said earlier, for some of you that are in the chat that weren't here in the beginning, that using projects or making just portfolio pieces of properties that people know, it'll get you organic growth. Like naturally, people will like and share it just because of what it is, and they like it, right? Castle Dracula. Nobody knows about this. You guys are like the very few that actually know this because you guys come to the streams, right? But like nobody knows about this, and that's fine. But like I'm going to continue to do this because it's my thing. But when it's portfolio sort of stuff, to me it makes more sense to do stuff that people know about, right? And I could be wrong. Everybody's got their own little opinion on that. That's cool. Some people think that just doing personal work is all they need for companies to see if they want to work with you. That's cool. Nobody's gonna. I'm definitely not gonna be anybody that's gonna say that's right or wrong. You just gotta find what works for you. Where was I even going with that? I don't even know what I was going with that. That's great. Yeah, that's basically it. I really have to go at 9 o'clock, but everybody's asking these really awesome questions. I will post this on Facebook. All I'm doing is another quick pass, and I'm going to get the highlights in there. If you go back to a previous video, that's where I was going. Last video I uploaded this weekend, or Monday, was actually drawing the page that you guys saw, so you guys can check that out if you're interested in that. For some reason, it was the what's it called? The recording was like poppy. It's not. You can't see me drawing anything. It's just like new art pops in. And I also had a video. I believe this video was the second one in that pitch, which was the Ninja Turtle script. I'm just going to bring that over here so you guys can see it. For those of you that don't always get to see all the videos I do. So this was the first pass at this, and in the video I talked about this is how I like to write scripts. It's a different formula here in Google Drive. But it was 5 pages, and I watched a video where a couple editors were saying if you can do something in 5 pages, that's amazing. If you can do something in... Oh, the video is stuck, is it? Hopefully some of you guys can hear me. At least you'll hear it in the recording button, or the recording one. But the editor said, if you can do something in 5 pages, that's amazing. If you can do it in 3, that's even better. Think about it. Editors don't have a lot of time to even know what your art looks like. They really don't care as long as they like what they see, then they might do something about it. So they should be able to really see what you can do in 1 page. So taking that into consideration, I just whittled it down into 3 pages. So I want to say trim the fluff. There was extra things kind of going on here, and it really is. These are the 3 pages that I have right here. And you can see how like lightly I wrote them down. Panel 1 establishing, this is what you guys just saw. Panel 1 establishing shot in New York. Panel 2 zoom into sewer. Panel 3 sewer shot, shadows on the wall of fighting. Panel 4 revealed turtles fighting Foot Clan. Seems like the fight has been going on for a little while. And panel 5 close up of Leo fighting. As an artist, I don't know about, or I don't have to illustrate all the things or write down, oh, Leonardo looks like he's been sweating for a while because the battle's been going on, blah, 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 blah. You don't need all that business. I don't find. In my Castle Dracula script, I am going in a little bit more detail because, again, there's more pages, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get to them. It's almost as if I'm writing it for somebody else. So here I'm just picking a light source here, just making it hit all the spots on his face. Just a quick little thing here, nothing fancy. Everything's got this chrome look to it. And we're just gonna, get his eyes here. And like I said, I'm not sure if you guys are able to hear me, but maybe the trader's look it's like these white Ghastly eyes. Like a spell or something's cast on them. The plot of my Ninja Turtle story, it's as basic as it could possibly get. Turtles are under attack. Turtles survive the attack, and then Shredder is abducts, or basically has Splinter hostage. That's it. It should be more than enough. It's just it feels like it, but that's about it. The only thing that I don't want to say regret, but I know is missing is there's not really many people. So I'm hoping again that the whole point of it is just to get attention from an editor and that they may like it, and if they do, then I can go ahead and go, okay, great, let's keep talking, and I'll just keep working and sending you stuff as I do it. I just want to be on their mind. That's all. And I think that's the best you can do. Just be on their mind until something comes up where it's like, or they think of you when another project starts up. You know what I'm saying? They think of you when it's like, yeah, I might know a guy or I might know a girl. That's basically what you're. For me, that's what I'm looking for anyway. All right, so we're getting in the noodle phase. No, there's no pizza anywhere. Is that a mistake? Is that a mistake? I don't know. What I wanted to do here with the pencils, I want to see. Let's lock it. I just want to see if I can lighten the black of the eye. Does that work? Oh, Jesus. I don't even know if that's working. No, you can't because it's not gray. But anyway. So there he is, all his glory. Let's put that on multiply layer. Why can't I see that? There we go. Alright, so I'll post it on Facebook so you guys can take a look at it and all that good stuff. I really got to get going here, guys. I apologize, but let's see if I can quickly answer. John, when the editor asks you about your work, tell them you would what you do for a Klondike bar, and they probably. All right, you guys. Well, again, thank you so much. Sorry about how Picarto was going tonight. Hopefully, they'll have their all their things back in order next week. Unfortunately, they were, at least from what we hear, the victims of a DDoS attack. A bunch of internet scumbags that have nothing better to do except take down social networking sites that takes away some fun from us. So apologize, but at least we were able to at least watch it. And again, all this was recorded, so if you did come a little late, it will be on YouTube this weekend. And just to give you a little wraparound of how this show goes, this show is every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And around 7:30, we get a little pre-show, get some music going, and just doing some doodles. And by all means, please head on over to patreon.com/Jonathan Rector, and there's a whole bunch of goodies on there. We got some commission slots still open if you guys are interested in that. Get a commission for yourself every month of any character you'd like, if that's something you're interested in, as well as update stuff and all that good stuff. So we're going to keep working on the Ninja Turtle stuff. I do actually have a bunch of commissions I have to do. Next month, there's a small convention that I'll be heading to, so I want to get a couple prints for that. So I would say within the next month, the videos on here are going to be, especially on YouTube as well, they're going to be a lot of commissions, not much comic book work. But after the show, it's pretty much full bore comic book work, and hopefully you guys will get interested in that. And I'm trying to have at least a little something. I'm not quite sure, but something planned in the background anyway for Halloween. Uh, Most likely to be for Patreons only. Maybe I'll do the 3-page mini or something like that of Gildas here and some of the Castle Dracula stuff like that. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up here. Again, thank you so much. And if you're new to Picarto, up at the top here, you can just click follow, and providing the site's working, you should get an email whenever we go live. So, like usual, you guys keep reading comics, keep making comics, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.